well. And he was pretty blunt in his response, quote, best lineup ever assembled. Kudoc continued to tell Bally Sports, quote, it wouldn't even matter who brings the ball up. There's so much firepower there that I don't think that there would be any team that would compete with them. Shannon, do you believe Shaq and MJ would be the most unbeatable duo ever?
I don't, and let me explain to you why, Skip. Because in that scenario, Shaq would have had to join Jordan's team. Jordan has never, ever had a player that can challenge him as far as greatness. Scottie Pippen was perfectly content playing Robin, being the second best player, and that's what he was. No one else ever came there. And we saw Shaq. Once Kobe started to challenge him for greatness on that team, we saw the friction that it created. So my question is, I believe in that scenario, Shaq would have had to been somewhere first, and Jordan would have had to join him. Because Jordan, I just don't see how it worked. Now, everybody's going to say, well, Shaq says, this is what I should have done, made things better with Kobe, and we could have won maybe another 1 or 2 championships. But we're talking about, they're coming out, we're talking about the early 90s. I just don't see how it works. For me, give me LeBron and KD, because both of those guys can play with anybody else, and it does not matter. It doesn't matter. I've seen KD play in 3 different systems with 3 different types of players, and it didn't matter. I've seen LeBron make it work with everybody that he's been around. They'll play off each other, and it really doesn't matter. I don't know if we've ever seen Mike play with someone as great as Shaquille that's going to be challenging him for his greatness on his own team. I don't know how that would have worked. Because we saw when Phil first came in and he said, okay, Mike, we're going to need you to shoot a little less and get everybody to ball. He rebuffed that early on. And then once he saw that, you know what, the only way I'm going to be able to win a championship is doing it this way, we saw it work. But we saw before our very eyes what happened when Kobe started to climb that greatness ladder. Shaq was very reluctant to let him continue to climb and get to the top. And ultimately, they broke away. So, Skip, I don't really know how this would work. Now, everybody's going to say all the right thing. Oh, yeah, we'd have made it work. No. Because if that was the case, you could have made it work before, and you didn't.
By the way, so you're combining LeBron with KD, so if you can't beat him, join him. Right? Now you're acknowledging the greatness of Kevin Durant. Thank you. You finally saw the light. Because we know KD's a little better than LeBron, and you would need KD to even begin to challenge Jordan and Shaq.
They said, put 2 guys together. Skip, that's it.
All right. First of all, we're talking sort of hypothetically.
Yeah, very hypothetical.
Okay. And the rest of the lineup doesn't really matter because Kudoc is saying it would be the best lineup, but he's dismissing. It doesn't even matter who brings the ball up. So to me, it could be you, me, and Jenny. It could be the other 3, right? We'd be just fine because they don't need anybody.
Right.
We just get in the way. We could just sort of stand around, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is just me. When I rank my all-time list of greatest players, you know who I put at the top? Jordan. I've got Magic second, but I got Shaq third on my list. So if I'm going to combine, hypothetically, 1 and 3, and they do fit together better to me than MJ and Magic.
Okay.
They just don't fit to me the way.
What about Magic and Shaq?
Well, that would work. Because it almost worked. They just barely missed. But yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But here's the point about Michael and Shaq.
Right.
They are simply the 2 physically and mentally most dominant players I ever saw at their positions. Whatever you want to call Michael, 2 guard, I guess. He can play everything.
Yeah.
He can play small forward. He can play point guard. But those 2 are the 2 most ruthless, cold-blooded basketball killers I ever saw. Both of them. And again, could they fit? Well, if you could hypothetically make them teammates, they would love to play with each other because you do have a big man and a 2 guard.
Right.
And the point is that Shaquille O'Neal, just for those 3 years, I can't do duration, I can't do longevity because there was no longevity. He did not keep himself in the greatest shape.
But he did for about a decade. You talk about Orlando, and then those 3 years you're talking about in L.A.?
Hey, especially the 3 years, but I'll give you Orlando too. But those 3 years, I've never seen anything like it. Not the prettiest thing to watch. It could be ugly basketball. It could be football basketball. But you want to talk about power and strength and psychologically, the psychological willpower of Shaquille O'Neal with high skill attached to it. High skill, dancing bear skill. He had it all. He had all the little moves, the little hook shots, the touch, the feel. And he just terrorized my San Antonio Spurs featuring David Robinson and Tim Duncan. He tore those two apart. He ragdolled both of them. Well, if you put that guy with the coldest-blooded basketball killer ever in Michael, they would terrorize the league. They would terrorize the universe and the galaxy. It would be beyond comprehension. Once they got on a roll, they would destroy everybody in sight.
You know what I love about this? It would never happen because Michael Jordan is never going to sign off on it.
You know, they would have to get thrust into the same vortex.
Michael going to rebuff it. Michael don't want... Skip, you know how he is.
He could cakewalk to 10 straight championships. He would say, okay, I'll do that. Again, remember, he had little to no respect for Scottie Pippen. I don't care what anybody says, little to no respect.
Well, he's on his top five, his team that remember his team that he wanted to play with?
He's mellowed out a little bit. But while he was there, I was there covering the team, little to no respect. He was definitely robbing. At best, he was robbing. And in the end, if you actually somehow hypothetically threw him together with Shaquille O'Neal, you don't think he'd respect the big diesel? Yeah, he would.
What's good? Why would he want? He's like, I would have never. I think he said like he would never play with Larry. He never played. I wanted to beat those guys.
Okay, well he didn't want to join them. We're just having to throw them together hypothetically.
Oh, yeah.
If they got thrown together in a bubble together, this is what you'd have.
Right.
If you could just hypothetically just pick the two you'd want together.
But do you believe, knowing what you know about each of them personalities and mindset, you believe they could have played together?
I do. I think they could figure it out because you got big and small effectively.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about them. I ain't talking about I'm a two guard and a center. I'm not talking about that aspect of it. I'm talking about the mindset. What Shaq thought what Shaq was, what Michael was, bringing those two forces together.
Don't underestimate Michael's passing ability because it was supreme. Yeah. That 1 year he averaged, 8 assists?
Yes.
It was career high?
Yep.
So
32, 8, and 8.
Okay, so he could get the ball to the big fella.
Yeah.
If that was going to win a lot of basketball games, that's how he would have done it. But he would have to have high regard for the big fella.
Right.
Because remember, he's playing with Bill Winnington and Luke Longley.
Right.
You know, come on.
But you think he could talk? You think he could talk to Shaq like he talked to those guys?
No, I do not.
No.
But I don't think he didn't need to talk to him that way.
That's what I'm saying.
He'd know they were partners in crime.
But,
right?
And that's the thing. You have to understand. You have to look at these guys' personalities. The way Shaq was talking to Kobe early on, I think he said the report was that he said Shaq was telling the story and about how he said something to Kobe and Kobe said something back. He said, "You know, I can get you traded tomorrow." I mean, just the personalities.
He also knew he could just bust him up right there. If it came to Right, that's just...
But Skip, I give you, when I look at Shaq, and I remember Shaq when he got to Orlando, and I look at, say, for the first decade, if he could have stayed like that size, that athleticism, for another 3-4 years, Skip.
Game over. I agree.
People don't really, I can feel comfortable saying, Joel Embiid, but Joel Embiid can't move like Shaq. And Shaq,
Agreed. Totally agree.